Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Now today I want to talk to you about a little bit of an issue I've got with just some of my tomatoes. Where we are right now is we're in a big tunnel, many of you realise, and this is sort of dead centre of the plot. It's 50 or 60 foot to the fence, front fence that way, and the same at the back, 50 to 60 foot to the back fence. So as such, with it being right in the middle of the plot, this becomes a bit of a pathway and a corridor going between the two. So when I'm down here, these doors are open all the time, and I think that's causing me the issue that I've got now. So what I've got here is I've got a line of Crimson Crush plants. There's about 8 or 9 of each variety here. Crimson Crush plants are at the back, and at the front here I've got these Ildi, and I've got a pollination issue with the Ildi plants. I think it's what they call dry set, which is it's basically they're not setting fruit, and eventually the flowers will just wither and they'll come off and you just don't get the fruit from them. And I think this is caused by a lack of humidity in the particular area down here between the two doors, simply because the wind and the air is allowed to throughput. I'll get you in closer and you can have a look at this and see. Okay, the variety that I've got as a line in front of the Crimson Crush is a variety called Ildi, and that's a little yellow plum one over there. You can probably just make them out. But these are good because they're renowned for having these great big trusses, anywhere between 60 to 80 tomatoes. I mean, there is one on there, just one on there. And these flowers don't look the best. They're still there, they still might pollinate. As I say, I think the issue is with lack of humidity around this area. And as you can see here now, if you see this soil at the front, this is where the wind is allowed to pass through the plot, through the polytunnel, through both doors being open, and over towards the back you can see the soil is damper, which is where the Crimson Crush are planted, and they're doing fine. You know, I mean, if I pan up, I mean, there's one Crimson Crush plant, and I've got fruit set and fruit growing all the way up there. So this is what I think the issue is, and I can solve it by watering more, but I might have another solution. So I'm going to go into the back polytunnel, the new polytunnel, and just show you around there. So this is the new polytunnel, and this is 18 foot long, 12 foot wide. And as soon as I finished it, it was quite late on in the season. I haven't really had time to dig it over or prepare the soil properly. All I've done is fill this with plants that I had spare lying around or that I didn't need elsewhere. So this was just a bit of a trial, just to see how things would grow in here, to give me a better idea of how to use it going forward over the years. So down here I've got some spare tomatoes. Now these tomatoes, first 6 or 8, were in a dire state when I put them in, and they are recovering somewhat, and I'm starting to get fruit and flowers on them, and they're okay. Now down towards this other end, these 3 plants here, this one, and this one, are all the original seed sown Crimson Crush plants. And as you know, what I like to do is I like to take the side shoots off these plants, plant them in the ground like I've got a couple down here, and grow them on. And as a result, this plant in the corner is a side shoot plant, and you can see from there, if I move from there to the original seed sown plant, there's not much difference. The side shoot plant is coming on leaps and bounds. It's got fruit and flowers on, and it looks incredibly healthy. Now over on this side, I've got all the rest of them, a whole heap of them here, and these are all doing incredibly well and looking really, really healthy. And if I just kneel down so you get a better sense of scale, you can see there is fruit on them and there is flowers. But the key thing for this, I think, and in comparison to the large tunnel, is those doors at the back there have remained shut since the day I finished building this polytunnel. I've got the availability to open them if I need to, but I haven't got that through draft that I've got in the large tunnel. And this is what I think is contributing to the dry set problem I've got in the other tunnel. Now, there are many things that can add to issues of plants not pollinating in a tunnel or in a greenhouse. It can be too warm, it can be too cold, there could be too much nitrogen in the soil, not enough plant food, not enough humidity, too much humidity, bad combinations of all those different objects all at once, and you can suffer then with pollination, and indeed after that, sort of the actual growing of the tomatoes. People will have seen things like blossom end rot and cracking of tomatoes when you overwater, for instance. So they are a finicky crop in that respect, but they are easy to grow if you get the basics right. I mean, some people, you see them, they'll just put half a dozen plants in a greenhouse, get pounds and pounds of tomatoes, and they haven't got a clue what to do with it. And that, to be honest, is probably the best way of growing them. You know, just put them in, leave them to it, and let them get on with it. But anyway, I'm going to try and solve the issue in the big tunnel by watering those tomatoes at the front every day as opposed to every other day, just to keep that area a little bit damp and see if that improves things. But if it doesn't, I've now got the option with this tunnel to use this next year to grow my tomatoes in. I can see that they're growing well, and if I plan out to do this, i.e. dig the soil over, prepare it well, and get plants planted nice and early, I think they'll do really, really well in here. And this could be literally all for tomatoes, a couple of lines down there, a couple of lines down there, and a few peppers and aubergines or whatever. Fill this tunnel with these hothouse things, and because I haven't got that complete throughput of air that will remove the humidity, I think they should do really well. I mean, you've still got to balance the humidity with the ventilation as well, so you've got to keep an eye on both. But I think as it stands at the moment, that large tunnel, since I've built it, since I've been growing tomatoes in there, the ones that have always been closest to the walkway have always suffered with this pollination issue. So this is the way my mind's thinking at the minute. I mean, I've got the problem. It's not really an issue because I'm getting plenty of other tomatoes, but I would like to solve it so that I can move forward and adjust my planting to suit. So it's always worth, especially when you get a new tunnel like this, just putting some crops in and seeing how they do. Practice, if you like, find out what the tunnels or the greenhouses capabilities are. And if you've got an issue and you can't solve it on your own, just get another gardener in to come and have a look around, because 9 times out of 10 they will spot something that you have missed, and it's generally something fundamental. So don't struggle on your own and scratch your head and wonder why, and just ask someone. So there we go. So over recent weeks it's been so warm that we've been having to leave my polytunnel doors open overnight, and I think from next week, the middle of next week, the temperatures will be dropping and I'll be able to close the doors overnight, which will help improve the humidity. But for now, I shall make sure this front area gets a little bit more water than the area where the crimson crush is, and just see if that helps to solve the issue. A lot of those flowers are still live. We'll just see. But I'm fairly convinced right now that I'm going to be changing to that back tunnel next year, but we'll see how this does first. Quite often problems that you have with plants are sort of location specific. So if this solves that problem for me, what I've just done here, it might not solve it for the next 99 people, and any issues that they might be having, I might not be also be having it. It's a very strange thing in that respect, gardening. There is no one fix, no one size fits all. And you just have to try and work out what's going on. Now, I know my soil is a clay-based soil, and as such, even when the surface of the soil dries out on top, I know it's still very moist underneath. But if the top of the soil dries out, I lose humidity because it's not there ready to evaporate straight away. It'll take its time coming up through the soil. So I figure that I sort of water 2, maybe 3 times a week, and during these really hot spells I've been watering almost daily. I just think I need to give another can down the front of this, and that will help. I'm going to water and feed the whole area now. I've got a water butt up there that's got comfrey feed in, so they get feed every time. And we'll just see if this little extra trick works or not, whatever. I mean, it may just be that my climate does not like this Ildi variety, but I mean, you can see the masses of flowers. You can understand why I wanted to grow it. You know, for each truss 60 or 80. I mean, that's one truss there of flowers, and all those there. It's just tremendous. So it'd be nice if we can get some fruit off it, but we'll see. But anyway, that's it for now. Look after yourselves, everyone. Take care. Ta-ra now.